In this video we will be implementing APIs into the Flutter app. So the misconception is like there is a very big misconception about the REST APIs, that it is very hard and it is like you have to learn how to implement REST APIs in Flutter. And there's like so many showstoppers of how to implementing REST API. People thinks like REST API is such a big thing that you have to learn to be like perfect at. But I have a very simple approach we use in our apps, and it's very good. It's very simple, straightforward, and easy to implement. So you can just copy my idea, like go with the flow what I do and I will show you how to implement the REST APIs in just 10 minutes. Okay, so in this video implementing 10 REST APIs in 10 minutes, I will be like, our main goal would be like calling an API, getting the dishes, converting that dishes into the list of like model of the object, okay, and then showing it as a list of widgets, right? So basically what we are going to get is a list of objects, and we will use that list of objects to create a list of widgets in the folder. So first of all, let's create our basic UI. So we are going to get like dishes in the response, so let's create like one screen for that, right? Now I'll start from a stateless widget. Let's start from a stateful widget, because in this we need the stateful widget, and we've got name it dish screens. Okay, yeah, we got the D screen, implemented it, and here we go. We just give it the dish screen. Again, we give him the scaffold, remove this child, it requires body, and body requires, let's say right now we just have a container over here because we don't have anything. Then let's add an app bar, title, text, dishes, right? Let's go with the dishes, and let's give them a style, app theme, heading, and that sounds good. Let's title, let's say center title is equals to true. Got that. So we basically got the list. Okay, so our main objective is to get the list of dishes over here. Okay, so for that, first we have to call the API. So basically what API is, it uses the server. When we call when URL, it returns and responds in some JSON format. So how can we do that, and how can we achieve it? Okay, so we, in the first step, we will be creating API. After that, we will be implementing that into the model, and the third part, we will be creating a widget from the model. So it's going to be a 3-part video. So let's go with this, right? The first part, let's call the API. Let's basically focus on the API part. Okay, ignore the below part. I will be creating for you from the very scratch. Okay, so how can we call that, and how do we? So firstly, just create a class for API. So because in an app we have multiple APIs, so we use a class to like call it from, like to make the code very clear, right? So let's create a class of API endpoints. Okay, and extends to extends to this also. Yeah, just a second. Yeah, extends to this. Okay, and then we will just go to our let's make a function. Like basically what we do is a function. Let's just stop a minute. We will go just to Finder, new window. We will just create a new window to get the base point. I'll get the base URL very quickly, and you will get the base URL. Here is my base URL, and so we're back at this. So firstly, we will create a static base URL column. So let's add a string of base URL, and let's put the string here, right? So this is our base URL. What we are going to call the base URL is nothing but the website server domain name on which the API will be hosted and used. Okay, after that we'll and what is static can't extend to the classes, right? For this we don't need where the class extends. Okay, static. So in the static part, we will just call the future, and we will call the list of right now just we have the string because we just require the string as a return. So it says key what will this function returns, right? Future is used. I will tell you why we use the first. Get dishes and this. So this is our basic function. Let's go without this, right? Let's make it a void. So but as we know, our API will return a JSON. We can, but it will require a string. So let's put a string over here. Okay, so now it requires a string and we will just return the empty string. So now the function is completed. So let's understand and make this function API function. And to achieve that, firstly you have you have to add the try catch in this. And once you add the try catch, out of that just you need to just in the try catch just mean the e. It's because we add this because we want to like make sure the API is called, so there can be a mini exception in this, so it's like useful for that, right? So then let's in the return part, let's remove this. Okay, in the try part, let's add a variable of URL because we required a URL, and in that we will just go URI dot parse because we have to parse the URL. So it requires a string, so give it a string, and firstly you have to give the base URL which we have set it on the top. Then you have to give the endpoints. You can check the endpoints over here. So right now I'm using this endpoint. You will not able to use this endpoint because our server will be closed at that time. Okay, let me just return once. Okay, now the errors are gone. So this is our URL on which the API will be called. And as like there are two types of API. These are like which is get and one is post. So for this get and post, it both has different meanings. So get doesn't require a body in the simple terms, and the post requires a body. And what a body is, when we have to send parameters with the APIs to get something in the return, that's with the post called as a body. In the get you have to send the parameters in the URL itself, and the post you have to send the parameters in the body. So that's the main difference. There are so other difference too, but right now focus on that. So we have our this API which is like post API, as you can see. So now let's create a response. So how we call the API, it's very easy. We go bar res http. That's second. I think we have to implement the http function, so we have to call the http class. Let me give him a second and we will do that, right? Boom, just go to that, go. I forget to copy this package name, so that's why it happens. So for calling any API you will be required this package which is https. So firstly you will just call the http add http dependency, and as we require as an object, so we'll just create an http. Okay, so once we get the dependency, we can just go use this as my main class, and in this you have to add your URL. Okay, so now you can see we can post the URL, but as it is a post API, we requires a body to get the like proper result. So what body is? Body is nothing but it requires a map, right? Object, right? So basically we just create an object, and so let's create a body for this body, and this is a map. And in this we have to send the URL, which as you can see we have to send the user ID. In the API you have to consider this part is very crucial for all the APIs, because like naming conventions and the parameter names are useful, like it's needed, it's compulsory to be there. Okay, so that's it. So we'll just provide the body over here. Okay, and we get the res. So basically what res is, it is response we get from the like status, right? So now we have to check the what's the response is. So for that you have to like result that response.body. This is your friendly neighborhood response. What I say isn't defined because of future response, and you can see we have declared the await. So we can have, because the main thing is right now is we didn't add the await into this. So to add that you just go here, add the await, and now you have to add the async also, and now you have to also add the future too. That's why I added the future in the start. So now you understand why we require future and a sync and everything. Okay, and now this guy is going to say key future cannot be returned on null because we have to require to add something over here. Okay, we'll be fixing that. If res.body, so as we know it's not going to work because it is in JSON. So we have some command which is JSON decode. We can use it. As you can see, we have used JSON decode, right? So we have used JSON decode, and in the body, in the parameter, we give the result. So this will decode this JSON and create a JSON out of it. After that, we will check the status of the API because it is very good. If status is 200, it means the API is working perfectly. And then we will just converting it to the string and checking if the status is 200. If the status is 200, return JSON encode as status. And this time, as we require data, so we will require data, and I will show you why I selected data and everything. Just give me a second. JSON encode, JSON decode, right? Now everything looks clear. You will be confused a little bit, but it's all good. Alright, this is our basic empty-handed right? So now it's time to call this API. So I'll go to my main screen, and into the body I will just create a column children, and I will create a custom button, and on tab I will be calling API endpoints get dishes, right? I will also create a variable to store the dishes. That's right now it's a dishes string, so let's create a string, and let's create a string empty. Then we will just add this dishes to strings. It requires an await and requires an async. Okay, now you can see we have the dishes in the dishes. Then just go and set stated. Okay, so basically this is gonna the API call. Then we will add this text over here, and just going to add the dishes over here. Boom. Let's see. Okay, nothing. Height 24. Boom. Right, it requires a text right now, I think. Yeah, text call API. Let's add some padding to make it look cooler. Okay, so now you can see it's empty, and let's add nothing here. Let's grab it and make it expanded. Take the whole space, right? Looks clean, it looks pretty. I'll add the condition because it's not gonna be null something. Dishes, right? So you can see nothing here is just under. Just add to the center, and it goes to the center. Style, app theme, small text. Boom. So everything looks cool. So it's time for the API call. Let's test it out. API we have to wait because we didn't have uploaded any loaders, and we were going to use that loaders in the next video. So let's focus on that too. So we will be adding debuggers to check what happens to our everything. Boom, boom. Okay. Screen dishes. Okay. So we are expecting to get it. Let's restart the app once. Okay, we got the API once over here. Dishes, it's still empty. We go here, call the API. Again, we are going to retrieve this. install the API, goes to the response section, waiting for the response. Hope it's something with server. So in the next video I will showing you how it works. So thank you, have a nice day. In the next video we'll be adding the model into this data, and in the third, and then after that we'll be creating the card around it. Okay, so bye.